Been in Nepal for actually almost 3 months. Initially, I came here to catch up with my friend. But eventually, I get to really enjoy Nepal, the hospitality, the people, and food culture. And I try to travel really slow, meaning that I can stay at one particular place for a week minimum. So I went to Pokhara, Gandaki, Lumbini, and Bandipur, and then go back to Kathmandu, and then stay in Patan, and went to Bhaktapur as well, Boda, a little bit here and there. I didn't do any trekking. Next time I'm returning to Nepal, then I'll do trekking. Nepal was not really on the list in terms of not my high priority. But then again, it's just because I'm catching up with a friend, and then eventually I experienced myself how Nepal is as a country, how the people, and I felt like I have to give more time, meaning like traveling a little bit longer instead of like 3 months and then I'm going to India and then Nepal and then Sri Lanka. No, I like to stay at one particular place long enough to understand. I like Jujudao from Bhaktapur. I like saying Dhanyavad. I like that's the language. Yeah, I like that. Of course, I like the mountains, even though I don't trek. But I just to see the range, it's beautiful. I don't like the bus ride, but I like it for the experience. I know I love the people. It sounds very broad, but I have made good friends, really good friends, specifically here in Patan, in which I feel like makes me feel like home. The road, winding road, I quite dislike that. I don't have anything. I don't dislike something. It's just like no, I don't have. I mean, in Kathmandu specifically, of course, I dislike the dust. But at the same time, I like the hecticness here. Outside of that, have I encountered anything I dislike? I don't have, no, I can't answer that. Yeah, very much so, actually. I think because my face looked like Newari, so many people speak Nepalese to me, and when I said something in English, they were like, oh, you're not Nepali. I'm like, no, I'm not Nepali. And so many people joke around about, oh, you should marry Nepalese guy and stay here forever and stuff like that. No, the safety, sir. Yes, it's very safe. Because even though the bus ride sometimes, we're talking about transportation. Because I do a lot of local transportation, microbus, big buses, tuk-tuk and everything. But people are not aggressive. If I were to be probably having Western face, it would be probably different in a way that probably people stare a lot more. But more than anything, when they know that I'm not Nepalese, they would talk to me like where you're from and things like that. Very common questions. Yeah. But no, I don't feel unsafe at all. What makes me feel unsafe is the way people drive. I think more than anything, it's a lot easier to travel alone because friends are not into traveling, and then you would think that, okay, if I wait for my friends, I wouldn't be able to go. So the easiest way is just to go by yourself. But I didn't know at that time that there was a concept of solo traveling. I just went by myself because it's a lot easier without having to wait for anyone. The best thing about solo traveling, I think, the freedom of what you want to do, and then you figure out things by yourself. And so more than anything as well, you learn about yourself. I learned so much through solo traveling throughout the years. My way of traveling has changed, have developed, but more than anything, I've learned so much about myself because when I'm alone, I have to start to understand what can I do, what can I not do. Even though you're solo traveling, a lot of the times you are with other people, so you also to trust locals, strangers. But yeah, you learn a lot about how far you can go, and the freedom. And by solo traveling, actually the opportunities to talk to different people is bigger, because when you are traveling with friends, you're occupied together, and so you're not really interacting with anyone. Or when you're alone, sometimes you feel lonely, but that's not a bad thing. And then people start talking, and then you start to observing more, and then you start to notice everything more. And I think it's just really beautiful and learning process of self journey. And at the same time, in Nepal, in Kathmandu specifically, there's this one platform called Nepali Travelers. I don't know, have you heard of that? So this platform is a specific platform to fund solo female travelers in Nepal. So Nepalese women are funded to take solo traveling in Nepal, a minimum of 10 days to a month. Or even there's this one girl that I spoke to, she did 3 months of solo traveling throughout Nepal. And I think the idea of solo traveling in Asia for women is very foreign in you. And yes, I've done it for many years, but I haven't met any other. I haven't met a lot of other female solo travelers from Asian countries that does this. So at the same time, knowing that in Kathmandu there's Nepali Travelers as a platform that also support the idea of solo traveling specifically for women, it's very makes me feel like, okay, this is something that I should always talk about. Because yeah, for Westerners it's very easy. I think for Asian, the challenge is from the society. Women are expected to be home. Women are expected not to go anywhere because of the patriarchal society. So first you have to break the mindset of, if I'm going alone, will I be able to do that? I mean, when you start traveling, it's a lot easier, but to break the mindset, it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah, of course, researching itineraries, because before you go on a travel, you would research about a certain place, and then where usually people go, right? Start from there, then how many days that you have, and then if you usually in the first year of my travel, I only spend usually a week in certain countries, and so I have to move all the time to see many different places. At that time, it was more of a vacationing than traveling. What I say about vacationing, it means like I only see a glance of it, like it's on the surface. I didn't really learn about anything because of my limitation of time. But now, having to understand a little bit more the way I travel and what I feel about traveling, if I, let's say, dedicate time of 3 weeks of certain countries, like I went to Iran last year, 3 weeks, and then I would research really on the road, meaning road like from Tehran, and then where to go, and then how easy the access, and then also the idea of how much is accommodation on every different cities or every different places, because I would like to know how much can I afford. Can I afford this place? Can I afford that place? So before you go on traveling, always research, and it helps so much to prepare the travel, but also never be too fixed, always flexible of every possibilities that happens, because when you travel, you see so many new different things, you meet so many different people, so along the way things will always change. I think more than anything as well, the good part about solo traveling is that flexibility, right? Because if I meet someone that I like to travel with, okay, we can travel together for, let's say, how many days. So of course it's itinerary to prepare, but at the same time be open-minded. How do I manage? So throughout researching, you will know how much certain thing costs, right? When you travel, the thing that costs you the most is accommodation, transport, and food. So these three are the one that revolves around. There are people who pay because they don't have enough time. Okay, we pay travel agent, tour agent to just pay and then they decide anything. That's for people who do not have enough time or the luxury of time. I think for me, it's still even if I don't have enough time, I wouldn't do so because it eliminates the surprise because it's very fabricated. But people travel different way. To me, I would research, of course, how much is the food cost wise and usually the range, how much in dollars, accommodation wise and transportation wise. When I travel slow, I don't have to move a lot, meaning I don't have to go from different places in 2 days. Because if I move a lot, it will cost me a lot as well. So yeah, from that researching, I would also visa fee. Every country has different visa fee. So from that, I'll calculate how much in general it will cost me. But when I'm on the road, I'm always also be mindful of what I spend and how much, like roughly per day, how much can I spend, so I can have a better calculation. Okay, this is how much I should spend, whichever. If I have extra, then for the next day I can probably splurge sometimes. So yeah. YouTube, so I first started solo traveling in 2013. I have built my audience, meaning I've shared my stories on Facebook and everything. So I already had a following base. But then when in 2016 I left Indonesia and I thought, okay, that's too much to write and photos every now and again, so I'll just turn on my camera and start talking to the camera because thinking, okay, probably people will see a lot more what's happening surrounding, because in a photo you can't capture what's happening. So it was to end of 2016, and by 2017 when I live in China, the channel starts to really grow because I shared my life in China's daily life, and people didn't know how's China as of now, for example. So it's more of a curiosity, people watch that. As of now, it's more of a more commitment and more committed, meaning I dedicate time to edit, to research, to make video, to film, to contact people that I need to contact, and things like that. Part of making a video. Yeah. What motivates me, because the sense of being in an unfamiliar situation, sometimes it's very uncomfortable, and you start to okay, this is a new place, seeing new things. It's exciting at the same time, but also the learning process of figuring things out, learning new culture for sure, learning new people, and just understanding different parts of the world. I think it's very exciting, because if I only stick to one particular place, like my own family, my own society, I wouldn't be able to understand how is the world, at least, because my understanding will be limited to my own understanding of society, family, of a country. That's it. But if I see different places, if I see different things, it means okay, what I thought was right probably is not always about right, because there's no black and white. It's always gray area. That's also a learning thing about traveling. You become more acceptable. You become more accepting, and more than anything, yeah, and respectful, of course, with other people's differences. People live differently. A lot of Indonesian, I think they don't really travel, but they do vacation. When they do vacation, first, of course, they would go to Bali, because that's the famous one, or domestically within the country. But if they do go abroad, they would go to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, a little bit Singapore, for sure, Singapore for shopping purpose, Thailand, all of this Southeast Asia, but only specific Southeast Asia like that. Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, starting now Vietnam. Like I haven't heard a lot of people go to Myanmar, for example, or Laos. No, Philippines not a lot. You know, things like that. So there's only certain countries. I think people are more interested going to Japan, South Korea, European continent. I feel like they're missing out if they don't go to Nepal. Hopefully, I think unless they are really into something exotic, you know, meaning like because let's say like people come to Nepal either for the mountain. Most of the time, people go only for the mountain and then they leave, or just a little bit of the culture, right? And in Indonesia, people do not really trek for the mountain. People go to the beaches, yeah. So I think that's why. Halo semuanya, datang ke Nepal, travel ke Nepal, belajar tentang Nepal dan lihat keindahan Nepal tahun depan. Next year? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, tahun depan. Tahun 2020. 2020, right? Yes. Saya yakin kalian akan cinta sama Nepal. That's really weird, me talking in bahasa Filipino.
It's great.